Hey guys, how are you? Oh, snap. I'm using a different format here. Uh-oh. Looks like ¿Qué es la que está papá que hay? I gave you a shout out in the morning show, but you a little shy. You gotta get in there. Bro, I was getting in there. I was just, I'm feeling my way through. Sketch. I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm a little tentative, as they say. First AMV, how you doing, man? Lafayette, what's up? What's up? What's up? Hey guys, I'm trying something different today. I figuring out how to do like the grown-ups with the using Google Hangout. Sketch, I still have to figure out the thing you sent me. I gotta work on that. But for right now, I'm just trying to get this stuff kind of working. So far, so good. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my camera now. And voila. Un pressure tu corazoncito bendito. Stop it. Stop it. Hey guys, I wanted to show you this while we're on here. I was working on this earlier, and I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that came out pretty dope-alicious. He is wicked. I like it. I like it. Trying to sell it to make some coin over. I've been doing it over on man, I don't like this camera, man. I gotta get a better camera. That's what I need to know. That's what I need that too. This camera is terrible. Send you a link. All right, hold on a second. How do I do that? Damn, you just messed me up, bro. You just messed me up. Okay, so all right. Déjame hacer esto. I'm going to invite people, right? Let's see. No. Déjame ver. See, I'm working through Hangout right now. That's how I'm supposed to do it? Oh, contra. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Wait, but how do I send it to you? Do I do it through? Oh, I think I know, because that's how everybody does it through. I gotcha. It's see, es que I'm kind of old. Hold on. That's not it. How did I do this? Invite people. Okay, this is how we do it. I gotta go to Twitter. Un momentico, chico. Déjame hacer esto. Déjame probar esto. A ver si la puedo hacer. Let's see. My messages. Didn't you send me a message already? You did, didn't you? No. New message. ¿Cómo era? Man, this is the only downside. I have all these stupid things all over the place. Puerto Rican Army, right? Ba-bum. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-dum-bum. Ba-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da. Dun 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 dun. There we are. Here we go. All right, brother. I sent it to you. Vamos a hacer esto. Okay, so wow, he is doing that. We're going to work on something else here. I intended to do a drawing of Wonder Woman, but now we'll have to see. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm also messing with my camera balance here, the white balance.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, brother. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just sitting here at the crib.
That is what's up.
Let me turn down the volume because I think I'm gonna get an echo. Hold on a second. Put on my headphones. There we go. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I hear you fine, brother. I hear you fine.
It's okay if I can show my screen?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Maybe you could give me some pointers over here. I'm trying to learn a little bit from you.
Okay. Probably gonna blow me away over here.
No, I'm not that good. I'm trying to do a xenomorph, see?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I saw that on your I think it was on, is it, I don't know that come
So
away.
a couple of days ago, I was doing I did a little bit of it this morning too.
Oh no, it's when you sent me the information on Twitter.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was trying to teach you a little bit how to get all that set up so that you could get like a basic setup and get monetization quick.
Right. So I did that in the chat. I put, or rather in the description, I put I put the PayPal.me deal for
Yeah, for the tip jar. Yeah,
yeah.
you
So
could start off like that, but what the program does is it's like a super chat thing where they, sometimes a little bit of the thing is that they like to get in the conversation and they like to highlight their comment
right.
and show support at the same time and get a little bit of that fame, like, oh my God, Elliot read my message, yo, that kind of thing. Because you're not big time yet, but sometimes these super chats, this chat gets so big
Yeah.
that it's just impossible to follow. It just moves too fast, right? And so people want to get a word in edgewise, and what they do is they throw in that super chat, and it puts them like in a separate category, and it makes it easier to read, and they get to show support, put a little something in the bank, which is always greatly appreciated, I'm guessing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to bring in my boy Lafayette to see if I can get him to talk also here. I'm trying to figure out a way to communicate with you, Lafayette, because I don't have your messages. I'm already lucky. Let's see. I don't know. Is this right? I think I said you. Okay, no, I'm not going to mess with that. Lafayette, we're going to figure that out, man. I don't know how to do it from here right now. I'm still trying to figure out the setup. All right, so the xenomorph. Let's see your xenomorph again. I'll mute. You tell me what you want me to address.
Well, my inking is pretty bad. It all looks like pencil. I'm used to drawing from pencil. Now these are different layers I've been working from, right? And before that, it looked like this because this is how I started the drawing. This is like the layer where I did wait, that's not it. It's down here. This is the first layer I made, like the very, very base. But this leg looked kind of wrong, right? Like it was a little too short here. So I had to change the leg, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I went to this setup, right? Where he's a little bit straighter up. I went basically from this, and I just couldn't get the leg right. I couldn't foreshorten it, I think is what it's called, foreshortening.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get that right. And it's just like the way that it was like too sideways. I wanted to show a little bit of the chest. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, cut and paste the body on the top and make them look a little bit straighter, right? So I went from here to what's here. Wait. Right? And now I'm trying to do some of the detail work. But my lines, they're like very, how can I put it? Because I'm used to drawing from pencil. In pencil, you just gently darken and shadow.
Right.
And I'm not used to inks, man. If I go too dark on the ink, it'll just look like a bunch of lines. This is like the way you see the pencil moving.
Yeah.
This is the way I'm used to always drawing on everything.
Are you working on an iPad?
No, this is like a Wacom.
Okay. You know what you need to do? Because you're working through, was it Sketchbook?
Yeah, that's Sketchbook. I'm not too good with the other programs. I mean, the Photoshop, it just has a lot of stuff I don't understand. Maybe I'm using the wrong pen too. It's got a bunch of pens.
If you go to...
You guys use this stuff sometimes for ink, right? Like a fountain pen?
I don't use Sketchbook often, but when I do, I use it on my phone. And I know that you can go to the settings for the tool itself. There should be some settings, and I would adjust the pressure in there. That's the tricky trick to that. Let me see here.
File.
Let me answer this question. So what, Elliot, have you ever wanted to draw yourself in your or other or the DC or Marvel style? No, no, because I'm not that interesting. Although some people say that I'm drawing myself sometimes when I do draw, but no, not necessarily. So let me see. How can I?
The style, the pressure I got is stylus responsiveness, a little less, or the maximum.
Well, I would say a little less. That way you can try to como se dice? You can give it a steady stroke, a steady flow with the tool, and that will give you. You won't have to. Well, it should give you that steadier flow. Let me see, what else does it have? Density. You could change density, but you'll be doing a lot more building. See, I could have, if you were using Photoshop or something like that, you can do it there. But that's not too bad already, what you're doing there. Not too bad. I would say also that I liked your other layout better. I think it was a little different that way. And I think it worked better for what you're trying to do.
Okay. My other layout, you mean like with the pens?
No, with the when the character was facing down, it was more dynamic that way. Now he looks like he's looking more straight.
Okay, so I could like, okay.
So let me switch over to my camera real quick. I'm going to show you what I would do in that case. So this is actually a really interesting thing. We got about 6 people watching now. I'm actually going to launch a new. I was talking to Lafayette earlier about this, my buddy. I'm going to be updating my Patreon soon to include a $10 tier again, and my $10 tier is going to have a special. I'm going to create a special Instagram account just for the $10 tier subscribers, so we can schedule like workshops, and you guys can come in at that levels for $10 a month. And we'll just try to hang out together from time to time, and we'll do it that way. So this will be a perfect example.
Did you include your Patreon in the description under your Streamlabs, your PayPal?
Under the video I have, but I will tell you that. I have to update the descriptions, the tiers. Okay. But let me go ahead and show you what I mean. Here, I'm going to grab my pen. I'm going to take a look at what you have there for a second. Well, okay. So the problem that I think you have with the leg, Project Mage Punk says, I'd love to see your take on Solid Snake. You should see this. I just did it the other night when we were doing it here. Hold on. Solid Snake. Done. See that? That was how fast I was. You didn't even see that. You didn't even notice.
That's gorgeous.
No, man. I'm just.
When is your comic coming? You gotta have a little bit of a story outlined. Maybe a writer in mind.
I got some stuff cooking. All right. So this is basically your layout here. I'm just going with the leg area. I don't know exactly how to draw it, but I'm gonna. Okay. And what you were trying to do is you were trying to go out here, okay? What I think you should be doing is thinking of it more like this. Have the foot come forward here, or at least
have both feet looking like to the.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can bend what I got here.
You might be able to just take what you have and select it and invert it.
I think I can grab this. Okay, I can grab this and just delete it. Then I can kind of grab this and twist it kind of like it was. You told me that it looked better where it was, right?
Yeah, that I think would look better. Looks nice like that, because it's way more interesting. The reason why I say that is because you have here's a quick conversation about composition. So composition is really what I learned in school was something called FUM. Right, it was focal point.
Okay.
Unity, movement. Am I doing that right? Movement. I can't spell. And balance. And I've had trouble explaining this before because it's been a while since I was in school, but the idea is focal point is, if I can explain it in the simplest of terms, let's say you have a square, a circle, and a triangle. Now, because of the way that they're laid out, these all four of these things, they all work together. So there's not necessarily that you're dealing with one item or another. You're working with multiple things at one time. So focal point is what it is that you want to see first. What is the main part of your image? It's difficult right now because you only have two elements in your image. You only have the figure being assaulted or accosted here in the bottom, and then the alien above, right? So but you can still work with that because you have another item in here is this. It's the negative space.
Okay, I could use the negative space too.
Right, so that's what we're going to try to do. But so negative space for everybody that's watching is anything that falls inside within the elements of the image that you're trying to compose. Okay. Right, so the unity is how they all work together. Movement is making things flow. So a great example, I shouldn't be using this pen.
It's supposed to be like kind of tearing the hand off, like it just tore the person's hand off. Let me try to move it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let me just kind of tackle this a little bit. So this is just like a general discussion. I think is beneficial for everybody anyway too.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they don't go over, like, okay, I would say you and Ben Jones. You've seen Ben Jones, the person that really likes the crawfish? Yeah. You guys are the only ones, and Gary Shipman. I would say that you three are the only ones that get into like a little bit of teaching, and Gary just basically just does it and reads the chat. Ben talks a little bit more about what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I have to, if I'm going to go into this part of it, like I said, this is something I'll be doing more of this is for everybody else for our special $10 tier. But anyway, so let's say, let's take these elements. We have so a great example of a unit of movement was, if you remember, Frank Frazetta. Frank Frazetta would have like, he had that one, the Viking that was kind of crawling through the crack of the mountain, and he had one arm here, and there was a leg over here. I'm just doing a real quick sketch. There was one over here, and there was a snake that went across like this. And so he didn't just draw elements that he liked, he put in the elements that made sense for his composition. So the snake ended up becoming a tool to lead the eye around.
Okay.
All right, so the snake did something like this, moving up.
So over here, I'd have to use the line from the two arms to like pull the figure to like, so you see that he's pulling that arm off.
Well, you can use the tail actually. The tail is going to be your element there for that. So you're kind of doing it now, but I think because you have it so stretched out, it's not working for you as well. So let's take a quick look at the sketch. Let me see that again one more time. I'll be quiet for a second.
Okay. What I'm doing here, what I was trying to do over here is trying to get it to look like he was pulling the arm off, right? And trying to get like a very stable line, so that you could see what's going on there. Okay. And yeah.
All right, hold on.
You can also lock it on the Hangout, lock it on my screen, and that way.
Yeah, I just did it.
Okay.
But I want to. So I'm basically just redrawing your concept here. Okay, just the components of the concept.
Like blocking it out, I think you guys say.
Yeah, blocking it out. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to show you. So right here, I've kind of done the same thing. This looks phallic, but don't worry about it. So,
oh, H.R. Giger, man, he's all about that.
So a couple of things. What I would do is you have a decent figure for your victim. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use this tail. I'm going to tighten it up so that it wraps around. So now what's going to happen is this tail literally is going to behave like an arrow. and it's going to point all the way around your image, and it's going to point to the head. The head kind of falls into the same direction, okay? But what happens is we're going to also to bring, now you have the torso and the body here that's bending for the legs, right?
Okay.
All right. So what's going to happen?
A little more.
Well, no, hold on.
Let me see.
So also, I wouldn't. You could
use that same one. Just start over.
No, you're good. You just make some adjustments. I would I would bend your arm this way a little bit to make this more interesting. So now we can create a little more flow here too.
Oh, okay.
And then now we're going to use this arm to also behave. You know, let's say he's got the hand here.
I wanted to do. You guys do something sometimes that they call like action lines. And I wanted to look like he just ripped it off right now.
Well, the action line, though, is more in the figure. I mean, you can go with an action line through the activity. The problem is that you're isolating the activity here or here, but you're not thinking about everything. So the action line for the alien is actually this. It's the flow of the body. It's like follows the spine and the bend of the torso. This guy's action line is like this. Right? Or this, however you want to do it. Okay, and then we're just using the tail to help create movement. So it's not a perfect situation, and really this is a very core layout because you're looking at it straight on. Another way to do it would be to have the figure.
Well, I'm not good enough to do sequential art, but I want to get good enough to do like a retweetable fan art.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just saying you can look at it at a different angle. So maybe instead he's like this, and you see the little mouth coming out here, and you're behind the guy. Because how important is the guy? He probably not as important. Right now they share the downside to this layout is they share the focal point. They share the focus.
Okay.
This way, the alien's clearly my focus. He's almost in shadow. And maybe he's got I lost my arm. But over here, the alien, oh, I mean, he's got much more like this now. He's got the other arm like this, and the other one's spurting blood here. And you can still create that circular motion. You see what I'm doing?
Yeah. I'd have to start another one.
Yeah, this is a separate idea, but I'm just giving you options and how you can approach it. Now, it doesn't have to be the straight-on view. That's almost like you're just looking at it in one way. Now we're just taking the whole model.
One of the problems I have sometimes is I have a problem with dynamic drawings. Like a lot of my art it just looks like a person standing there, and it's very. I guess I could show you a little bit. Here I was doing. This is like supposed to be Shiar. Wait, no, this isn't it. I'm going to like pictures. Okay, so this is supposed to be like the Shiar, the Shiar, Lilandra Neranami?
Yeah.
So I did like a Lilandra Neranami, right? There she is. Let me see if I can get her a little bit in focus. Okay, but she looks so stiff. The legs look like they're almost bending the wrong way. You understand what I mean? It's very, very stiff.
Well, that's because you picked, you're still learning. One of the things that's challenging for a lot of artists when they're first starting out and they're practicing is, and this is whether you're young or old, it doesn't matter. It's just about how much is retained in your memory about any particular. This
one I tried to do. This one was supposed to be the one from the Guardians, Nebula from the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
But she also looks a little stiff, and this leg looked a little too big, a little too long, and I just quit. I'm like,
what I also recommend to artists is to get yourself a couple of good action figures, like Marvel Legends ones, and get the ones that don't have too much. Get a female one and get a male one. If you can't afford the more expensive Japanese joints, try to think about it like that, because what's happening is you're posing it like if it was one of the wooden models, very robotic. But you can loosen all of that up by messing around with the thing and changing. When we say maybe change your camera angle, what we're really talking about is maybe here.
Your visual perspective.
Yeah. So, for example, I have a Deadpool action figure here, right?
Yeah.
So this, if I like the way this figure looks, so I won't mess with it in here. But what I probably would have done is I would have gotten rid of all these extra pieces, just left it as a bare figure.
Okay.
So because I'm really looking for, and if I was in your position now, I actually use it for reference for how to draw the character in case someone asks me for a commission. But
Okay.
so what I would do is, let's say I want to pose this guy. You know, he's
So to like a real artist, like these toys are sometimes like tools of the trade, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, I use him like that a lot. I use him like that a lot. So let's say he's like this, and he's bending his body, and he's doing one of these things, and you know, maybe he's got the sword in his hand. You know, so I'll put the sword in his hand, and my wife will come in and say, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh no, baby, it's okay." And
I'm
he's
not playing. This is work. I promise. I swear
all
to
right.
God.
So this might be the primary angle that you might draw him if you were drawing him straight on. But now
Yeah.
we can try turning the camera so it's how you look at him. Maybe you're looking at him from above. Maybe you're looking at him from the side. Maybe you're the same position, but maybe he's slightly different.
Have you ever tried to do that with like a program, like a just like a straight up computer program that does that kind of thing? Because I've seen the apps in the phone, and I've seen them like computer programs that are
Yeah.
basically just a model that you can move around.
Yeah, there's a old program that Manga Studio actually has in it. I think it's in the, I want to say it's in the EX one, the Clip Paint. I know it was in
The
Manga
new one
Studio
is called
5.
Clip Studio or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
Clip Studio Paint, yeah. That one had like a model you could position and pose. The only downside to it is that you can get really hung up on that, but it's a good exercise for yourself to practice it,
Okay.
to get more used to looking at that figure in different poses. The only downside too, sometimes you can warp the figure, excuse me, so much that you almost don't have any more. There's almost no, there's hardly any recognizing it anymore.
Okay. So it
So
doesn't even look human, and it's.
well, because you turn, it's the way it twists. It's a program, so it can get bent out of shape.
I'm also not very good at faces. You do some awesome faces. They got like character. They look like, there's character to them. He looks like a tough guy.
Well, that's again, man. You know, I've been doing it for a long
Practice.
time, and what I would do is like
What's the first
magazines.
pro job you had? If I may, like, throw an interview question in there. Sorry to interrupt you. What's
No,
that
that's all right.
first, first question, the first book you broke into that you're like, yeah, I'm doing a pro job.
The first book I did was working for DC. I did a something called Harley Quinn Power Girl,
Okay. Okay.
and but I wasn't very proud of that. I'm still not very proud of it because it was a rush job, and I had to get it done fast, and it
Is that
didn't.
why you don't mention it a lot?
I used to mention it, but it's like 2-3 years old now, so it's not that. It's already every day that passes, the work that you did before is not as important as the work you're doing now.
Yeah, but it is a qualified bona fide in the world of IndieGoGo, in the world of where you're going out on your own, because you have a lot of these cats that they're good in art, but they're not experienced. They don't have that understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
Well, I mean, I bring it up. At least I've been bringing it up on the live streams.
that's cool. That's cool.
But I think Ethan asked me very direct questions about that in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that as we move along, people will just dig the work enough, and then hopefully the project that I want to work on will become the pedigree, if you will, what I need as far as that's concerned for other types of projects. But I'm not interested in working for the companies anymore. I don't have any desire to work for Marvel or DC anymore. And
I completely understand. Well,
yeah, it's mainly because they don't pay very well. Well, DC does pay pretty well, but again, you're always trying to get a job, and what I like about the crowdfunding process of developing a project and getting it published that way through the crowd is that you give yourself an opportunity to be to be the master of your own destiny in that regard, and two, you also give yourself a
creative control, intellectual property.
yeah, it's not so much that's probably the ultimate benefit from it. But I'm saying, like, you give yourself your own work. You're only going to be as busy as you want to be. Whereas otherwise you're always just as busy as they'll let you be. And so I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, I don't have a problem. If I had to go work a regular job, I would be happy to. But I'm really trying to make this work out. And I've been doing this for a few years, and so far, okay. But there are some limitations. So.
Do you think that it kind of affected you a little, having like to, you know, stand by the phone trying to get a job? Did it add to your stress?
You know, it's yeah, it's a different kind of stress. Let me see something here. Perth, or hold on real quick. Perth says, "Hi, Ellie. I found you via EVS. You putting out any indie comic anytime soon?" Well, I'm about to talk about that in a moment. As a matter of fact, so hang on there, Perth. Yeah, it has added stress, but I will tell you, I was stressed in my day job in the old days too. So
okay.
it was, you know, I just think I'm getting crabby, man. I'm getting older, and I just turned 45 not too long ago, and I needed to get out of that job because I've been there for almost 20 years. And it's like, all right, well, let's try something different. And I thought that comics would be the thing. But now I'm singing a different tune now. I'm saying, yeah, comics is also back into the picture, because now I can make my own comics. So yeah, you would ask me earlier about what projects am I thinking about, or if I have anything. Yeah, I have a couple of ideas. I've talked about it a couple of times on the Ethan's Dale, but I've been doing like a concept that I have. It's going to be kind of a cross between science fiction and horror, a little bit of Cthulhu stuff.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I
It's,
actually had a picture here that has a little bit of that type of. Well, it's fan art for Stardust. Have you heard of Stardust? It's NASA's project.
yeah, I don't know anything about the project itself. I know it's a novel he's putting out, right?
No, it's a like a short comic. It's black and white, very simple. He's just getting it out there. But it's oh, what's this? No, this is the wrong one. I think it's this one.
I guess I should.
I didn't like the angles here either. I think I was better on one.
Well, just even the xenomorph is pretty much Cthulhu.
Yeah, it's got that kind of
that's cool
space horror to it. No, I think this one was better. I don't know. I want to start a new one. Maybe I should just do something new.
They both look good, man. They both look good. You just need to work on the thing. I would certainly recommend that you take some time looking at reference. Take some time looking at still photos of athletes. Maybe not so much. You could look at still photos of people who are doing like judo or Krav Maga or various those type of martial arts that they're very physical martial arts. Whereas I used to use like football players, but they pretty much either run or they're leaping for a ball. Yeah. I used to use basketball players, and they're good if you need to look at the muscles in motion. But I found that looking at like wrestlers, and I'm not talking about WWE, I'm talking about like Roman Greco wrestling or people that are rolling around and trying to choke each other out, MMA. Just take a look at how they move their bodies, and it'll give you some new ideas on how to position a figure and adjust and make some new.
Maybe this xenomorph is salvageable. Let me get back into that.
Yeah. It's not bad at all, man. It's not bad at all. Remember, there's no such thing as a masterpiece. I tell people that all the time. Masterpiece is a designation that other people give to your work, but you are never going to make a masterpiece. You should never think that you've made a masterpiece, because once you've made your masterpiece, as my friends say, you won. So if you already won the game, you might as well stop playing. But part of this is the passion for art is the discovery, and there's always something to learn, right? And that's actually literally the truth. So I would say is it the craziest? Well, first of all, it looks good. You're building it out. Yeah, I do think so. You're learning some stuff through it. And that's because every art is subjective, man. Don't miss that either. Now, if you have a certain look you're shooting for, then I can say if you're trying to do a Jim Lee thing, I can tell you haven't gotten there yet.
I'm pretty far.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. And I'm, it's truthful, it's honest, and it's to the point. But at the same time, for where you are in your development, if you haven't spent much time drawing, and you haven't spent much time reviewing or studying anatomy and looking at the human form that way. Now, I'll tell you, I learned a lot from comics, but
I did it as therapy. because
Yeah, yeah,
as a kid, you go through a lot of stuff, and sometimes you just hide in your, you just get in that notebook so you don't have to think about what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, 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 yeah. Well,
And when I got older, when I got in the military, I got a head injury,
hmm,
right? I get a lot of headaches, and I get really stressed when I was out, And I got a pad, right? Like I got a drawing pad,
yeah,
and it was just like something that I could get into, so I wouldn't, feel the eyes on me, get stressed because someone's walking behind me or getting too close.
mm,
It's that kind of stuff. It kind of like, gets me a little jittery. And sometimes I would like miss an appointment. I just go. I'm like, I'm supposed to be here. I got to do this, and I'll come back tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, 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 yeah. No,
So
I
I
appreciate
use it
that.
as therapy, or just when I was in the house and I was just like, thinking about too much stuff. I'd use it. That's why my name is Sketch Therapy,
Ah, okay, very
because
well.
I would sketch as a therapy, and I started the channel because I started noticing that I can, like, give an example, like like, hey, maybe you out there, maybe you got a little bit of stress, maybe, but you don't want to be pilled up, right? Because what they do to a lot of us, the Veterans Association and all that, the Veterans Hospital, they like to give you them pills.
Yeah,
They love to give you them pills. But I was scared of that because when I was a kid, right, my dad, he kind of OD'd on that heroin, right?
ooh,
So I never had a bad. And my step parents, my stepdads, I had a couple, and they weren't like they weren't too good to me, right?
mm,
I mean, sometimes I'd grab my brother, and we'd play, Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, and pretend we're not, watching our stepfather walk around with a revolver on his head. This is what you want me to do? You want me to shoot my sister? And I'm
wow.
like, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And the other one was an alcoholic. You go through a lot of abuse in life, right? And you try to do stuff to forget it, get it all out of your head. And that's what I used to do. But then, I got into comics a little bit, and I got this, like, you can come from wherever, whatever background, but you can like kind of become, something better, do something good, something worthwhile. And I remember one of my first comics. I used to get that McFarlane Spider-Man books.
yeah, yeah,
Then it moved on to Eric Larson. Then it was Mark Bagley, and then McFarlane had his own Spider-Man. Spider-Man #1, and then the Image Exodus happened, and they
yeah,
all moved to Image, and it had a little bit of that element of like going out on your own, and making yourself.
yeah, yeah.
And I joined the army because also, my friends were all getting locked up in jail, or dying, getting shot and stuff. And I didn't want to like be a part of that, but I ain't no coward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I was like, you know what? I'll just do it in the army.
yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect outlet then for you. If that's helping you get that through, then that's perfect. So all we're saying, and this is for everybody else, maybe that's paying attention. If you're interested, obviously there's reasons. There's all kinds of reasons to do what you do. Your goals may be different.
Yeah.
So the trick is to determine what it is that you want to accomplish. And once you've got that in your head, then it's just from there, just deciding, all right, these are the steps necessary to take to get to the next step, to take to the next level, or whatever that next level is. But I think you're right, brother. I think you don't have to go that far necessarily. I think that's an optional
No,
thing.
but okay. So here's the thing. I want to be really good, but not be constrained to time. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
how good could you make it if you were just doing it to kill stress? If you got back on there just to kill stress, and then maybe if I really wanted to do it, once I know I can get good, then I would have to get into like, how do I make myself faster?
So I would say to that there really isn't a better a solution beyond practice. You have to
Yeah.
put the practice in. So, but the practice, and I would say frequency is the important element for that. How often you practice. You don't have to practice hardcore. I draw all the time, every day. But see, I tell people this too, because it is therapy for me as well. I always bring a pad of paper with me. I always have some pens with me. This is the I found this at Walmart the other day, and I bought this. It's supposed to go into your notebook. It looks like a purse when I fill it up, but I just put it in my backpack, and I run around with this, and that becomes like my mobile studio, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
And besides,
Breakweiser has something like that too, but he has kind of like a kid because he's more into pen. He likes them Mont Blancs and
yeah,
he likes them watercolors and all that. And a lot of good artists have a little bit of that to them. I think it's a good idea. Personally, I do the same thing, but I do it digital, right?
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's even better. That's even better because you have a whole studio at your disposal, and it's not just you working. What happened to my light? Everything went dark on my screen. It's not just limited to just a couple of basic tools. You have a lot more to work with. Wait, Fiddle, what happened to my screen?
It went dark. I can see it. Did your light go out over there? Or?
No, the light's still on. I wonder what happened here. Now I'm just brightening it up. I wonder if it's maybe.
You know what it might be?
Maybe I'm drawing more dark stuff.
No, because sometimes the cameras will have like certain settings that auto darken or brighten, depends on what it's focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you shooting the picture from? Your phone?
No, I'm actually using a camera.
A laptop camera?
I'm using a one of those Logitech cameras. I need to upgrade. That's what I need to figure out is what's a better camera setup. So this is for me a test with this setup again. I used to use this before when I used to work on Twitch.
Can I give you some advice on that computer stuff?
Yeah.
Don't get a laptop.
I don't have a laptop. I have a
desktop.
I have an iMac. Then I have connected to it this camera because it's the only one I can use to go in a different direction. Otherwise, I use the phone. But the phone, I've been having trouble. Remember, we were talking about that the other day. I kept having this difficulty staying connected to my Wi-Fi. So here I'm hardwired to my modem. So this will keep that from happening. However, I still have other issues. But anyway, it's all right. I might be because I'm drawing more. That can't happen if with your camera. When there was nothing on my paper, it was almost all white. Now I have a lot more stuff on my desk here that's darkening up everything. That could affect your white balance. We'll see.
It might be trying to adjust just to get a better picture. That might be it, like a program thing. So it's an easy thing to fix.
The actual phone works great when it's working.
when it's working, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I just drew a little alien here. I was supposed to draw one. I'm going to change the description to say Doodles, Epic Doodles 2. Because I didn't draw Wonder Woman. It's one of my commissions to do next. I'll do that.
Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I got to work on one of those again.
I saw you do like a real pretty one the other day.
Yeah, that one came out nice. That was a commission.
So have you found yourself making more money in commissions lately than you were doing like on the job?
So the commissions, oh man, it's still growing, man. This is great. I have 108 backers now.
Awesome.
I've been doing commissions primarily over the last couple of years, really.
Cool.
But you got a question here from Perth. Comment, hey, Sketch, check out the 10-minute, 1-minute, 10-second art challenge video on YouTube. Good examples of the different detail at speed. Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'll note that down.
But yeah, commissions. That was what I started when I first got into all this. I didn't have any work anywhere. I was just doing art on the side, and I started doing stuff on Instagram. And Instagram, I just posted every day. I posted 3 to 5 times a day, every day, and it was mostly, like you say, therapy for me. But the more I did it, and I'll tell you, the more you do it, the better you'll get. What you want to do is set yourself up for happy accidents. You want to be able.
That sounds like you're a Bob Ross fan.
Yeah, well, I learned that from a guy who mentored me a long time ago. He was a guy I used to work with, and he said same thing. It's the same principle. The more you do it, the more you do it, the more you put yourself in a situation to fail. Failure is not a real thing. Failure is just an opportunity to learn and grow. So if you don't do it right 50 times, that 51st time you'll be like, oh snap, that was a cool thing. Now that happened to me when I was painting. I was doing some
I heard
stuff.
that about 7-Up. It's like he failed 6 times. When he got that 7 one, he got that thumbs up. That's when hey, 7-Up.
For which what? For what was that for?
For 7-Up.
Oh, is that what it was?
He failed 6 times.
Oh, well, you make me thirsty for 7-Up now.
Yeah.
I should get some water. But no, it's the idea is that you do it, you're trying to provide for yourself the maximum opportunity for education. And so like I said, you may think, oh, I messed this up or it didn't work out so well, but in actuality, you've kind of released you've unlocked another level, if you will. It's like when you're playing a game and it says, well, you have to do this many things this many times to get to ascend to the next level. Those can be frustrating, but in real life, that's how we learn anything. That's how we learn to walk. That's how we learn to speak. So that's how we learn to pursue, to grow in artwork as well. We just keep doing things until you finally say, oh, so that happened to me when I was painting. I was doing an acrylic painting, and I'm not that great at painting. I'm
not good at colors at all.
Yeah, and I stumbled on this technique that I know was what I've always seen. I was like, oh, that's how they do it. Now, I was doing a lot of painting and fast, so that helped. One of the best things that I ever did, it was also one of the worst things I ever did, but it had a big benefit to me, was I did sketch cards for a little while. And the reason why sketch cards were cool, and not just doing sketch cards for fun, I got a gig with one of those like upper deck companies.
Okay.
And the reason why, it wasn't them, but it was another company, but it was like that. The reason why it was such a good opportunity, even though it was miserable pay and a miserable project, the reason why it worked out so well was because I had to produce a lot and fast. So the faster, the more you produce, the more you'll encounter those mistakes, quote unquote, that are actually new opportunities. And so, yeah,
the more you can see where you're lacking and where you're good and balance all that out.
Yeah, well, it's not about seeing where you're good. It's not about that. It's about practicing something over and over and over again, even if you don't like what you're doing, and then discovering, oh, that's the look that I like. I heard somebody else said, Youssef, what's going on, man? My man from Egypt. It's like I think I heard Ethan say it too, that a style is really just a sum total of all the mistakes you make when you're trying to draw something a certain way. It becomes your style. So it's a weird way to think about it, but that's really all it is. It's just you practicing it enough that you get to the point where, oh, that's something I like to do, or I discovered something along the way. Oh, I like when I like the way I draw these faces. This is for me, when you see this face, it's a combination of all these different drawings and all these different characters and all these different artists that I've been aping over the years. And like, I want to know how they did it. I had a friend who went to RISD up in Rhode Island. And
is that like an art school?
Yeah, it's a bigger art school. And he went there, and what they did a lot there, and they also did it down here in Florida at Ringling. What they'll do is they'll take a famous work of art and they'll try to repaint it little by little to learn the steps that the original artist took to accomplish it. But while you're doing it, you're learning something like, oh, this is how they did that. Oh, this is how you get that effect. Oh, this is how you pull that off. And all of a sudden you're cooking with grease.
So you like try to do La Gioconda so you can learn the sfumata?
You got me. I don't know what that is, man. But yeah.
Well, La Gioconda is the Mona Lisa, and the sfumata is that he would do like very thin layers that were almost ghostly to get it look like a smile, but not a smile. But it's not a smile. It's just like different layers show different things, and it would kind of go through. I saw a documentary on Da Vinci. He's my favorite Ninja Turtle.
Okay.
Leonardo. Yeah. I mean, that's how it started. Then.
Yeah.
He's like, well, who is Leonardo? And then, no, that's all because of the Renaissance. I'm like, well, who are these painters? And, everybody pretty much sticks to Leonardo. Michelangelo was pretty good, right? Yeah,
Elika Spain says deconstruction. That's exactly right. You're deconstructing the image and then pulling it back together. Well, it's not so much that it's not what that person did. Like, so Da Vinci or Michelangelo, those artists, they painted in a certain way. What we're trying to do is follow in their footsteps through the painting process, through the drawing process. So it's not that you're doing it as the original artist. We're trying to learn from them by breaking apart their process, and then learning from that. So that's why I tell my students, whenever I've taught students, don't be afraid to trace. Don't be afraid to sketch. Don't be afraid to copy in the beginning. I'm not saying claim it as your own, but don't be afraid to look at that and say, oh, I'm trying to learn as a student. It's an academic pursuit. It's not, you're not doing it to claim authorship of it. You're just trying to figure it out. And when I first was drawing as a kid, I remember distinctly, I was really a big fan of John Byrne. And I used to take his Alpha Flight comics, and I would redraw the characters. And I would give them a different look. I would, because I was also doing graffiti, right? Because I grew up in the Bronx. So I would be like, oh, okay, this guy has a little afro in the mask, and he's got this. I was influenced by that kind of stuff, like the Brown Hornet on Fat Albert. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I like the way he looks. And so I practiced that, and the more I did it, it looked terrible. But the more I did it, eventually I got to the point where I learned what I needed to learn from it. So it's never.
You understood what you wanted to, how it started, how, the parts of it.
Yeah.
The composition, I think, is the word. I'm not good with, okay, like I said, this is just like a therapy to me.
Yeah,
I might have seen a documentary or two, but it's not the same as the terminology you learn when you study this stuff.
Well, the composition is like I said, is the arrangement of the elements. And how they flow together. That's different. We're talking about craft and technique. Yeah, those are the things you're trying to learn. Is like what does it take to take something from a blank canvas to a Mona Lisa? What does it take? So that the artist that painted Mona Lisa accomplished the goal in the first place. Now we don't know their process of learning. They may have had another artist they were learning from. I'm not up on art history, but I imagine they were like Frank Frazetta is my favorite one, right? So he's not a classical master, but he was a prodigy. But he also, even though he was a prodigy, he still learned under other artists. I forget the one that he was learning from. So he was just taking that stuff. Now because of his capacity, mentally, he was able to process that information and paint and accomplish what he wanted to accomplish faster. But for you, Sketch, if you're just doing it for fun in the beginning or for therapy, don't sweat that too much. But at the same time, if you want to grow, let's see, Ilika says, many of the old master's apprentices had to learn their master style before they developed their own styles. There you go.
Yeah. So that's a good point.
So that's what they're practicing in these schools, like at RISD and Ringling. But you don't, unless you have that kind of money to study there, there's no point. But
I'm not moving to Italy right now.
But you can do that on your own. You can do that on your own. You can try to practice that here, and eventually you might find someone that this person here is also an accomplished artist, and maybe they can help me accomplish. If I can apprentice under them or learn from them, or just watch them. Sometimes that's what this is so important about. Just watching me draw. You can learn just from watching. Watch it, try some new things, turn this around. Oh, I like the way he did this. Let me try it a different way. That's how I learned to do graffiti. I was just looking, oh, I like that look. I like that style. How about I try that? Let's see, Perth Comics says there was a hidden portrait under Mona Lisa, so it was not a blank canvas. Don't be afraid to start over. There you go.
Yeah. I kind of heard about that too.
Yeah.
A lot of these people would like do a little bit of recycling, or it was like, a painting that they didn't like the way it was going, and they just turned it into something completely different.
Yeah. So that's what you're doing here with it, but you're just doing it digitally. And that's okay.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that either. Some people like, I don't want to do digital. Well, no, digital's fine. It's just a tool. All of these things are just tools.
Well, it's cheaper. I mean, I have this, Wacom, it's like a computer that I use for many things. So it kind of pays for itself and the value I get out of it. But I got an iPad Pro, and you're like, oh my God, that's so expensive. Not you, but like people say, oh my God, it's so expensive, right? But the other thing about it is that when I got it on a payment plan. So I just got it with my phone, the main plan, and I pay a little bit extra for the thing's internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
and the tablet itself is like $5-10 a month. It's like another $50 so the thing can have its own internet, so I don't have to like share my phone's internet. And it it's not the same as paying, oh, here's $1,000 for an iPad. Okay, so when you look at it from that standpoint, it's not the same as having to buy all those papers, all those pens,
Oh yeah.
those watercolors. I mean, if I look at that bill a month, it might be more.
Right. No, like I said, it's a
And
tool.
if I'm just practicing and I'm going to wind up throwing all this paper away, that ink isn't going to be seen by anyone, I might as well do it digital.
Well, and then also, like some people say things like, "Oh, well, I want to sell the original," but again,
I don't.
don't worry about that. You worry about that when you feel comfortable with your work and you want to see and you get a customer. Just be happy and indulge in the process and the journey. That's important.
I retired at 37. I'm not gonna work again. I'm gonna stay paid. This is just like, and a lot of the things that I'm doing here, this is like my way of, okay, so you know how sometimes if you're like, you want to, I don't, because you got kids and all that, so this might be different for you. But sometimes I feel like I'm not leaving a legacy. I'm not making this world better. I'm not leaving anything behind, right? And I see this fight that's going on, right, for like, that right to free speech, that right to own your property and defend yourself. And I don't see if it falls here, I don't see it ever getting back up anywhere on earth, right? So I'm like, look, I want to be a good investment. I swore that for my island and my country, that I would protect those three things, our trinity, right? Our trinity that other countries don't have. That not that I got different trinities. I call it like three trinities. I got three trinities. Number one is the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? That second one is that right to speech, right to defend yourself, and that right to own your property, right? Mm-hmm. And that third one is that one that I'm trying to help out is that it has to do with the last one of that own property, right? With that right for the consumer to be able to like speak what he thinks about the product, right? That review, the honest reviewers that are getting attacked. You know what happened to this Jeremy Hambly kid that was here in the morning? These people like waited till he was drunk, tipped somebody off that's kind of nuts, send him his way, and he's just like, he's like a few beers in, probably like, more than a few. He had his back turned. He's just smoking a cigarette by himself, just being like, totally normal. And this guy comes up from behind and starts punching him and hitting him and all this because they didn't like his review. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that right to review is like very important. You're protecting my wallet, man. You go out there and buy it before I buy it. So you can tell me, hey, this is great, or this is like garbage. Don't waste your money. So they're invested, right? These people that buy these comics and they're like, hey, man, this comic is like no good, or this comic is great. They're protecting my wallet, so I appreciate that. So like, we got one that I have the right to say, look, I didn't like this as a customer, right? Number two, it's that honest reviewer, right? I really want to help that. I want to protect that. And then there's number three, is that creator with an open feedback loop, right? Because when you have a creator with an open feedback loop, you can be more invested in the property because, this guy's not in an echo chamber. This guy is going to listen to like, hey, maybe this was good and this was not so good, this point here, this point there. And they'll listen because they're about the customer. They're about making it better. They're about, the business of it, right? And I'm not seeing that in Marvel. I'm not seeing it at DC. What I'm seeing is like this poisonous stuff going in there that's like not, it's not good for business. It's not good for the country. And I don't think it's good for anybody. You understand what I'm saying? Those are like my three trinities.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're making great points about that. I think that at the end of the day, we're living in a time. It's hard for me to say that that's the perfect way to use your energy. Because there are, because I can see from the other side why they get upset because their livelihood is being attacked. But to your point, it's not fair to our fellow consumers. We're all consumers, so we need that kind of feedback, like you call it, or review or. No, that's what I mean. Consumer Reports does that for a reason, But then we have another problem is they can be corrupted, and that's another thing too. For me, I have a hard time just listening to everybody talk about this stuff because I'm like, I don't know if everybody is is if everyone, some people are shills, you know, they're part of the machine.
Yeah.
So it's hard now, and
Okay, so
not
I'm
there's
thinking
so
to the
many
gate.
people.
You're talking about the gates.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are the gates. Okay, so back in the day, I used to really get into the reviews that these people at Collider had, and Screen Junkies, and you know, the Schmoes, and they used to call it movie garbage when it was garbage, right? And I was like all into it, and that was kind of my pastime. I'm like, look, I'm retired. I'm not trying to get with these thoughts. I'm not trying to like raise a pension. I want to raise a kid. You know what I'm saying? If I meet somebody, so I'm not gonna be all desperate, getting all up in the club and all this dumb stuff. I'm just gonna, you know, entertain myself, keep my mind busy, you know, watch movies. And then they got weird, right? Around the time The Last Jedi came out, these people, you know, they started like getting me out of the. I would start to blocking accounts, and you know how sometimes you, for years, you're talking to these people on the chats. I think in the comic books, it was more like they had different message boards and like Reddit stuff and that kind of thing, where they, you know, you'd make like a community, like a friendship, and you're like, hey, what's up? How you doing? So and so, and you just talk about comics or talk about whatever. Well, I had that with movies, right? And I was really with those people, right?
Right.
And then something strange kind of started happening around after Ghostbusters, before Last Jedi. It got weird, right? And I'd find myself that I couldn't talk to my friends. Like they don't see me, they don't answer me. What's going on, right? And what I did was I would make like another account, right? And then out from the other account, I would talk. And I would look on my first account. I talk on my first account, like, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? At, and you know, on the message you at somebody. Like I was like at Perth Comics, for example, right? And I would see that my message didn't go up. It wasn't even in there. And I'm like, wow, these people muted me. So they got me counted as a subscriber. They got me counted as part of the chat interaction, but no one can see me. It's like I'm a ghost in here. Like I got ghosted. And I took that kind of personal, but I thought, you know, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe it's a problem with me. You know, these people sometimes they cuss in there, maybe, but maybe I shouldn't do it, or you know, I should tone it down or whatever. So I would like, from my new account, I try to be cool, you know, but the second I expressed a different opinion or a certain opinion about a certain things, I get muted again, and I get muted again. And I'm like, man, they're just closing that gate in my face. I ain't got my friends. These people, I can't talk to them. No matter what happened, I can't talk to them. I can't see these people no more, man. They're like gone to me, man, because they're in this club that I can't get in. And I had another channel, right? And I only watched this channel because it had like, you know, brutal portfolio reviews, and it had anyone can draw. And because I like to sketch, right, as a therapy, I had this channel. But he started doing some reviews, and he would never, never, ever mute me. He just let me be myself. And then he reviewed The Last Jedi, and they took his interview away. They just took it. I don't think he ever got it back. And I thought that was just crazy. I like, this is insane. This guy is like a pro artist from DC. I recognize, because sometimes I used to watch, you know, not so much anymore, but I used to watch comics explaining that stuff. So I knew a little bit of the Green Lantern. I knew we got a little bit of that legendary run. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Creation of a lot of artists. And I thought, you know, how dare YouTube? You understand what I'm saying? YouTube is at a loss. YouTube don't make money. Google got money. Them YouTube servers are more expensive than the money they make from ads and the money they make from super chats. That's why they're so quick to demonetize, because they broke.
Right,
You
right,
know what I'm
right.
saying? So all that got to me, man. But this person, that he showed me that's not that gate that got slammed in my face. That movie gate, that wasn't the only gate. And people call it gate because of Watergate. And I remember Watergate, and that's not what this is about, right?
Right, right.
That's why, like, I take ownership of the gate. Like, it's not what they say it is. It's what I felt on my face. That's gate getting slammed.
Right. Right.
And that lack of access to like my old friends and stuff, right? That, you know, so I got that customer perspective a little bit more than other people, right? So he showed me that that's not the only gate. There was a comics gate and a gamer gate, and all these people that had different opinions, they was getting gate slammed in their faces. They couldn't talk to their friends anymore. They were unpersoned. They were unwanted. They couldn't review anything. They couldn't talk about it. They couldn't do anything. They were like ghosted.
See, that's why for a long time I didn't even care about these communities. Like I wouldn't get involved because I knew that was going to be something. I was always reviewing, had opinions about stuff just from listening to talk radio, and I said, you know. But then I found that it was so toxic to me because, you know, you talk about earlier how you have some baggage that you bring back from the service, you know, and I feel like, you know, maybe we need to spend some time and our energy worrying about more important things that not so much that isn't important to your point. YouTube YouTube owns Google. Is that how it is? YouTube OS Google. What does that mean, Ilika?
YouTube owns Google? No, bro. Hell no. that's not accurate.
Yeah, no, it's the
Google is the one that got the money. YouTube is broke.
But the thing is, then. Like, I don't know. I use old definitions. You and I are not that different in age. I use old definitions from when we were kids. Like, I don't have a lot of friends. I'm like, okay, I need to figure out. I can only count so many of them on one hand, you know. And so now
They're all dead.
Well, I mean, but you can make new ones, and some of it's like this. I guess it is like this, where you're interacting with people and you're becoming friends that way.
Yeah.
But I think though. It's so important. That's one of the things that YouTube is Google, bro. He says, I'm sorry. All right. So, but I also feel like, but I come from a different perspective. I'm coming from a Judeo-Christian perspective. I'm looking at life a little bit more thoughtfully than I used to when it was just politics. Because politics was draining my life, man. It was killing me. And I would get angry, and that was really rupturing my friendships. When I had a friendship with someone I worked with or whatever, it would get in the way. And so even tonight, I had a phone call from a friend of mine who's like, hey man, I heard that you're kind of running with some people, be careful. I'm like, listen, it's okay, man. I appreciate it. You know, and listen, like somebody told me, they said a lot of people are going to say that from a place of love. You know, they care. They just don't know all the information, or they're misunderstanding stuff, or maybe I'm misunderstanding stuff. So before I get all crazy, I try to keep that. And what's driving me nuts about this whole thing is that this is all about comics, man. It's all, what's going on? It's just comics.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is about comics.
Well,
I mean, I see the big picture, man. These people, they want something, and what they want ain't normal.
Well, I think you're right. I think to a degree you're right. There is enough of that going on. But I'm just saying that if you were to break it all down, the conversation would just stop if we just turned and looked the other way and said, I'm not gonna deal with you. I'm not gonna deal with you no more. That's what I said the other day when I was talking on the live show. I said, when I was teaching young people, now, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not a prude, but when I was a bigger culture war at play, yeah, I agree with that, Perth. I agree with that. Oh, trust none, what's up, dog? That's my boy, my brother. Anyway, when I was on the other thing, my comment in general, and I still stand by this. I don't disagree with what we're saying, what we're observing, but I will say this in addition. I find that it's more effective to point out how, instead of pointing out how ugly something is, let me show you the beauty of something else, so that we can combine that and say, let me show you the better way. Now, not everyone's going to follow. I don't think they're going to. I don't think those guys are paying attention. I think, I said this the other day as well, I think what you're describing is it's not that they're not being reasonable, because they only want to break everything.
Well, they come from this place where they haven't seen that light. They don't feel free. They feel like, okay, I'm gonna put it like real simple, right? And this is an old fight, right? And very old, right? Now, a long time ago, we had this thing called monarchic feudalism, right? Now, since the death of monarchic feudalism, state feudalists have been selling the idea that you don't have a right to speech, to defend yourself, or to property right, that you must be managed. Like in the old days, they would say it's because God said that it was them. Now they try to say it's because state knows best and they have the studies or whatever, just like asbestos was supposed to be the greatest thing, right?
Right.
Because they had the studies, right? You know, and they get into all these eugenic and genetic stuff, right?
Right.
But, you know, it's the same people that have been selling state feudalism through sock puppets like Karl Marx since the death of monarchic feudalism. It's the same old thing, freedom versus serfdom. So to me, it's a very old fight that's just manifesting itself in a different way now.
Right. I understand. But what I'm also saying is that when all is said and done, I serve a bigger king. Personally, I serve a bigger king.
Yeah, no, me too. I think it's probably the same guy.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that when you have that as the main banner, then you can be like, yo, I'm gonna rest in this. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna be more strategic about how I talk about things. I'm gonna be strategic in who I align myself with. But I'm not gonna bug out because I can't change it, man. Look, I believe in the Second Amendment. I have my pistol. But I remember when I was during a certain time in the last years, I was getting kind of crazy. I was like, man, we were talking about what's going to happen when things go down. Me and my boys, like, where we're going to meet. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, look, I'm going to tell you right now, man. At the time, I was almost 270 pounds. Look, bro, I'm going to tell you right now, I could barely walk down the street, much less run somewhere and meet y'all somewhere. I'm done. That's game over, bro. Fat man down. So, what does that mean? Like, I can't stop that. And and I'm not better than my Lord, so I know that there's some things that are going to happen. But we have examples of that. If you're a believer of how people responded to those circumstances in the New Testament, we have examples of that. How some of these Christians in Africa are responding in the Sudan. They're responding to these things when they're faced with all kinds of persecution. So, I guess what I'm saying is that I'm going to focus more on what's one of the things I love about comics is that you can, just like what they want to do, they want to use it for propaganda. I want to use it then. If they're going to use it for that, I'm going to use it for this. I'm going to tell stories of nobility. I'm going to tell stories of goodness. I'm going to tell stories of righteousness, stories of heroism, stories of justice, stories of kindness, stories that really not that different from the stories we grew up with, right?
Well, you hit me where I live at right now, right? Because I'm kind of Pentecostal, right? And if you know anything about Pentecostal...
Wait. You can't be kind of Pentecostal. There's no such thing as kind of Pentecostal.
Well, it means I like to speak to each in their tongue, right? And that means I speak to the comics guy in comics. I speak to the movie guy in movies. And I speak to the gamer guy in gaming, right? And it's the same message. Hey, man, you know what? You are free. You are free. God is love. I got good news. I got good news, bro. You know, hey, you know what? Ain't nobody gonna judge you but God, and it ain't judgment day, so I ain't gonna judge you. You might have heard a judgment from some other people, but that's not what God said. God said only he can judge, so I ain't gonna judge you. I got one job though. I gotta love you, bro. That kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
But but even like what this thing that happened with Vox, we need to, that was necessary, because what that was going to do, and this is where I had my own dilemma about that. We knew that what was going to happen if someone didn't do it. And to old boy's point, he was the one that's in the position to do it. If anyone would defend the name of Comicsgate, it was going to be him.
Yep, and he did.
And I can't do it because I don't own it. I don't have the same right to that information that he does. He was the right person to do it. That said, though, and I believe him, but I will say we still gave the keys over to somebody else still, right? So either way, because we don't own it, we really have to trust him, and hopefully he's going to do the right thing, and I believe he will. But I'm saying that's why we got to be careful when we put our trust in any man.
Well, he was the first one to say, it's not me, it's not mine. And he put a video together where there's like 20 people saying, I am the leader of Comicsgate.
Yeah.
And you can be too, right? Just to like say, look, this isn't about a race. This isn't about a person. And I also put it like in one of the super chats in one of the shows, right? I think it was yesterday in what's this show? The High Council, right? They had it over at Geeks and Gamers, right? And I said, look, Comicsgate is a consumer revolt against bad quality and bad customer relations. Among the revolted, they are creators offering good quality products and good customer service. That's how I could sum it up. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it is a consumer revolt. And among the revolted, yes, there are creators and they are creating a better product. But that's not how they got in, because it was a consumer revolt way before the creators got into it.
Well, I'm excited because what the another strategy that I'm excited to see finally become employed is when all these projects finally get a what do you call it?
Newsprint editions?
No, 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 no. I'm saying when they become when they get distributed, when they get fulfilled, because
Yeah.
that's going to be the most important. If there's one bomb in the
That's what they hate too, because they don't fulfill. Like, we start fulfilling, it's gonna be like comics is over.
Well, they just expect that we're gonna back down. That's why it's so important. That's one of the reasons why my Black and Red campaign on IndieGoGo, I wanted to do it really low and manageable. I didn't expect it would be as popular as it was, as it is. It took off, and I'm glad for that. Thank God for that. But
I haven't backed it yet. I wanted to back it like live during the show with Umbrella.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. But
So
I'm just
gonna be like make a show of it, like, hey, you guys, you know, when you buy it, he's gonna like, hey, check it out. Did I get in there? Yeah. You know.
I know, it's all right.
But I got the money set aside for it. How it still got a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah. I think we still have like 22 days, I think.
Good.
But I'm saying I wanted to make sure it was manageable because I didn't want to put myself in a position where I couldn't fulfill it. You know.
Okay, so now we're talking a little bit of the business, right? Now, this is my view. A lot of people might not share it, right? But I believe you should each be a company, right? And when you have each of you being a company, you can become a conglomerate.
Yes.
And I'm not talking a conglomerate where you have to follow each other's rules. I'm talking about a conglomerate in the sense that when you approach printing, you approach it together. So it's a bigger, you know, like a bargaining tool, right?
Yeah, they are doing that. Now that I'm involved in the back door for some of that stuff, there's a lot of conversation about, hey, this is going on. Hey, we found this, so it's happening. That's
so they
definitely
gotta respect your conglomerate, and also I like that song. Respect my conglomerate. That's back in the day. Yeah, you know, protect that. You know, my Trinity, like the government should.
Yeah. No, it's definitely that's part of the process, because and here's why, and I like the way that Zach said it, because it's important that when one person succeeds, it's not going to mean anything unless all of us succeed. In order for this to be a legitimate shift, a legitimate movement into that direction, and this is literally the rudder for this industry right now, and where the money is. And so if we can put it a situation where we are helping each other, one, the community is certainly backing it too, and now we also are able to fulfill those things as a professional organization. To your point, even individually, it doesn't do the movement any good if only one person does it. But if everybody does it, that's a good point. Yeah,
because it's a reputation thing too.
Right.
You want to be like the crew that fulfills.
Because then it's the same. Then we're back at where we started. Then the only other danger is that people keep saying we want it to be a company. I'm like, well, I don't think it should be that's my position. Because
conglomerate.
Because then, yeah, I agree with that. I actually quoted you the other day on that. Because I think if it's an all company, then what happens is we might as well. It's going to be another situation just like Marvel and DC anyway. Eventually, you know, like Christopher Nolan's Batman. You know, in Dark Knight, either was it you live long enough to whatever, or you live long enough to be the villain. You know, that if you're not careful, to die a hero, or you live long enough to be the villain. So if you're not careful, you'll hurt yourself. You'll hurt the movement, because now all of a sudden you're like, this is the reason why. Look how everybody talks about Image now, right? I was like, somebody approached me and said, well, Image is still a place to go. It's still independent. Well, no, not really. It's one of the big three. There's a reason why they call it one of the big three. Because it's become its own system now. And then to your point, there are people in that movement, there are people in that organization that think like some of the leftists and Marxists over in Marvel, who don't care about capitalism, and they're willing to let the whole house burn just for their ideology. That's not business. I don't know, man. I understand. I can appreciate this. I just don't think
they destroy it, and then they say, "See, capitalism sucks."
Well, listen, one of the conversations I've ever had with people, especially with legitimate communists, a lot of them see, especially if you believe in you're not you're not a crazy terrorist necessarily, but you're just a communist. You believe in the idea of communism. You subscribe to those views. Their argument would be that, we never seen it, or we've only had these systems that we have in place today. And I get it. Their yearning is to see something change, and they think. But the thing that we're saying I'm saying as a conservative is that it's not likely that we as humans, the way with the nature that we have and the way that we interact with each other and the way that people are harmful and hurt other people all the time. And, if you really believe that there's going to always be someone trying to take power, why would you try to centralize that power?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the argument I used to make when the 99 percenters were out there protesting on Wall Street, and they're all using Apple phones. Like, come on, man, you're not being realistic about that.
Not only that, they're using Apple phones because they don't want that Obama phone, and that's a government phone.
Right. Well,
but you want everything to be government owned. So you're not going to get something good. There's not going to be any competition.
So Elika Spain says we're talking about a consortium. I've heard that word thrown around too.
Consortium, conglomerate. I'm not really really up to date on what the right word would be. I think those rappers kind of said it because they were trying to approach printing CDs or whatever as a conglomerate, and they all got together, made a song or something. But what I mean is that they each retain their individual creative control.
Yeah.
And they're just together in on this. How do we distribute? Like shipping, printing. Those are like the main two, but there should be a component that is about I don't know, protection, legal protection. I don't even know how I would say it. But these people try some stuff.
Go
a little nuts.
Liability protection.
Well,
protection. But then that's what goes back to your point. An actual company would be an LLC, a limited liability company. Anyway.
Well, you could do it. You could have your individual LLCs and that kind of thing.
That's what I am.
I think that could be in company. It was just like, I'm saying the word conglomerate, and there might be a better word. But it's also just a song I write. I'm like a big fan of Busta Rhymes because he got that quick, he got them quick lyrics. He can be like one of the quickest. He can say so much so fast,
Busta's funny. Perth says comic book legal defense fund. What do you mean by that, Perth? What do you mean by that?
It's something that they had to defend comic book people when they would do comics that were a little too crazy and the government went after them.
Oh, I know the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, but I'm wondering how that applies to this point, because I don't think, to your point, I don't think the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund is prepared to deal with it's to deal with like a free speech issues is how it was designed to in the first place. This is more about like if for some
political
reason,
persecution.
Well, no, because I don't think that's the problem. That's not why you need an LLC. You need an LLC in case someone wants to sue you because they, something they bought from you hurt them or something, and they can come. If you don't have a limited liability, literally, then your liability is wrapped up in yourself because you're the sole proprietor. Now you, on one level or another, can be taken at least to court, and whether you win or not is a whole other subject. But they can go after your personal funds, whereas in a limited liability corporation, if something breaks, or it says, I thought they would cover the legal side of new companies. That's interesting. I don't know. That's a good point. And that's one of the reasons why I've considered going back to school for business, just so I can try to learn more about it that way. But I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I just need to be more active researching and reading, But yeah, I think all these things are part of the conversation. Like I said earlier, the reason why I brought up the whole thing that happened with Vox, that was necessary because we want to preserve that. To your point, we've gotten to the point where that terminology now is synonymous with quality. It may not be like that with some of the enemies of the movement, but at least with the people who are encountering that, we want to make sure that the message is clear. Because at the end of the day, people aren't gonna quite get it, and they're gonna get confused if all of a sudden they find out that there's. That's why if Vox calls himself Comicsgate, and we're calling ourselves Comicsgate, what's to say that they don't make the connection and say we're all Comicsgate, even though we're not necessarily talking the same language? I'm not a racist. I'm not a eugenicist. I'm not interested in an ethno state. How can I be? I'm Puerto Rican.
No, I'm saying we like 1/3 white European, 1/3 African black,
Yeah.
1/3 native Arawakan Taino, so that we can't do it. It's like, no, that's against our self-interest. We wouldn't be into that.
I wonder, man. I want to do one of those things. I don't know. This is a little bit change of subject. Wait a minute. Vox told Skillstream, you can tell Ethan I released the Comicsgate imprint. Anyone can grab it now. Hopefully that is the end of that.
It wasn't his to begin with. It's like, oh, and I'm gonna go into something else. You can't trademark something as a publicity stunt.
No. You have to. It has to be in use. You have to be using it. It's not that simple.
No, but I see a malicious intent in trademarking something that's not yours to make a big publicity stunt and then releasing something that was never yours. But I see that as a malicious intent.
Maybe, but you can't do that because there's something, and I'm not a complete expert in this. I just know enough to get myself in trouble. Oh, wait a minute. So Force One says, did I get here at the end of the show, or is there still show left? I'm still drawing, brother. I'm still drawing. I changed it. First I had it listed as Wonder Woman, and now it's just Epic Doodles 2, because we've got into cool conversation about other things anyway. So
I like this conversation. I mean, I got that customer perspective. I broke my dome in the army, and I'm not going to be doing any professional stuff. But no, that's why I support it. I got all the campaigns, dog. I got like almost all of them. There's very few that I don't have, and it's because I don't got that. Okay, I had physical weapons when I was in, right? I'd fix the tanks, and all these people that got that great socialism over there, they have it because capitalist tanks protect it. Because I know, because I used to fix those tanks, right? Without that, they'd have like invasion from everywhere. So the thing is, all these physical weapons are not as strong as the spiritual weapons, the images, the words. Plato got us out of the cave with a story. Right?
Well, did you hear about do you remember she was the communications czar or whatever for the Obama campaign. Yeah. She slipped up and had an interesting commentary about how they won. And she said, we won because we controlled the message. And I come from a background with sales and marketing and branding, and I understand that. Listen, if I describe this to you guys right here, if I say golden arches on a red square, what comes to your mind?
Golden arches on a red square?
Yeah. Let's see if anybody types it up in the chat.
I have no idea. Okay. I would think of Russia and having,
Well, that's because you're in that frame of mind. If I say to you a yellow M on a red square, what is that?
Oh, McDonald's, absolutely.
McDonald's, right. Golden arches. So that brand is so powerful that all you have to do is see it. And already, as soon as I see it, I think cheeseburger, milkshakes, fries. That's the first thing I think of.
Yeah.
That's how powerful message is. This is, by the way, why this is not exactly why, but it's interesting how Jesus calls himself the Logos in the Bible. He's the Word. He's the logo of God. A word is just a visual representation of an idea, an abstract thought. That's what a word is. Mm-hmm. And so he's the Logos, right? So that Greek term is where we get the word logo from, which is what we use for corporate identity. What did Jesus say? If you see me, you have seen the Father. If you see the golden arches, you've seen McDonald's. You know exactly what to expect. You know what you're getting from that powerful brand. So when they say things like that, that's again going back to my point.
And they branded him Hope.
Right. But if the same thing with Vox, if we're not careful, we'll be associated with something. So we needed to do that. So he decided to back off. Excellent. So good.
Yeah, he did. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But there's nothing to say he's not going to try this BS again in the future. It's just, we just got to be vigilant, man. Like I said, I think Ethan's still going to trademark it. That's expensive, man. That's expensive.
Oh, well,
it is expensive.
What happened when Jeremy Hambley got attacked?
Who's Jeremy Hamblick? Is that the
The guy with the
quartering?
beard that came in, the guy from the
Yeah,
quartering.
quartering.
Okay,
Yeah, okay, let's make
so
sure.
among us, this all started from some people that started doing some reviews. There was like this Captain guy. There was that Umbrella guy. There was a Yellow Flash, right? And they started being like really honest about what diversity in comics, of course, which is the bridge, right?
Yeah,
So these guys were first customers, right? But as customers, they didn't like the product, right? They went to research, right? And when they researched the reviewers that they found, they didn't find them to be honest, right?
yeah,
So they were metamorphized, right, from customers to honest reviewers, right? They were like, look, I don't know what y'all been hearing, but I'm gonna tell you skinny, man. I'm gonna tell you what's up with this, right? I'm gonna pay for it so you don't have to. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So they started protecting the wallets, right? And they came under attack, right? In one of the most popular attacks, especially at diversity in comics, was "Well, make your own," right? So then he crosses another bridge, right? He crosses the bridge now from reviewer to creator, right? And he is one of the first, I would say, the pilgrim of the IndieGoGo planes.
Who's
You
this,
understand what I'm
Zach?
saying? Zach, that's
Yeah,
Zach. He's one of the first.
he's the pioneer. He's the
He's the
trailblazer.
pioneer. Yeah, yeah. Definitely. It's like the pioneer that went into the IndieGoGo planes and settled there, right? He led the way for Ethan Van Sciver, who then, just killed it with Cyberfrog.
Right.
It's like he saw this guy. I think they had some kind of friendship since before all this. And he's like a creator that say, okay, well, the thing with Ethan Van Sciver is that he saw these reviews and agreed. He's like, yeah, that is a problem. Yeah, that is what's up. He's like, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we do need to be more out there. We do need to be more engaged. We do need to be nicer, not jerks.
Yeah.
Which is like pretty logical. But the thing is that once he started going out, he agreed. Now, this is not like a pioneer, it's not like just some guy went out there and he did okay. Then he goes out too. And it's like, okay, the mayor went out and he did well too. So we can build a town out there because this guy has built, this guy made it fine. And this guy that has built stuff before is doing great. So we can get down here, right? And that's where all the other IndieGoGo started following Mike, which is also a renowned pro in the industry. RT Bear.
Yeah, yeah.
Also got down over there. And then the people that were like, look, I'm going to be logical about this. I'm not going to be emotional. I'm not going to be gossipy. I'm going to think for myself. That's where the blocking thing comes in too, because they don't want any other opinions. Yeah. Why? Because why do they automatically block you? Because they can't handle the conversation. Because if you had the conversation with their customers or with them, or they had a conversation with you publicly, they would lose the debate. And to not have the debate, they engage in this block botting stuff, right? Yeah. So all these things happen, and it's good. I think it's a wonderful thing. That's why I feel like as a customer, yeah, I can invest in here because I had these physical weapons, but they don't stand as strong as the spiritual weapons of images and words into this culture war, this teaching people of these good moral values. And you don't have to do it with like that hand in your fist, be good. You could do it with a story like Plato when he let us out the cave, right? And tell us, hey, all these shadows in the wall, they're fighting, they're doing this and that. It's in 4K, HD, 3D, but those are just shadows in the wall. Those are just shadows on the wall. You got to be like about your core, about what you feel is important, what's your moral center, right?
Right.
And you can get that in the story, right? And that story from Plato's Cave, if you say Plato's Cave, a lot of people, like you were saying before, they already know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's like this illusion of what the difference between the real world is and what the structure that's tying you down is. That's saying invest yourself in this idea, that idea. It's like, no, you were free, and you got to realize that you were free.
Hold on a second. I got to read these comments because I don't have the super chats yet. So I gotta do this. Let's see. Force One said, "Gee, thanks. I'm hungry now." That's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is the benefit of having a small group here. We can read them like super chats. Perth Comics says that's exactly how I found out. He says CBR pointed me to the diversity in comics. I liked the message, then noticed EVS and the High Council. Yeah. Force One says, are these doodles your characters or from another comic? These are just I'm just drawing aliens and monsters, man. That's all I'm just having fun. This is my epic doodles too. And then Carlton says, "Yo, Elliot." All right, so we're as Ethan would say, we're caught up. We're caught up. Yeah. All right.
We're caught up. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. That's what I'm all about. Like, hey, man, y'all got these spiritual weapons. Y'all can teach like some moral character. What these people are teaching in those comics is just not good. What the kids are gonna learn and the moral framework that they're gonna get is not good. And you know, when I buy these comics, when I put that money in that defense fund for Jeremy, the guy was telling you they beat him up because they didn't like his reviews. They put him on a list like he's all these evil things, which he's not.
Yeah, that's the dude that hit him because he's a Nazi puncher, right?
Yeah. But he's that guy ain't no Nazi. So I was like, I can invest in these people, and they're gonna be able to do more with this little bit of money. And a lot of people like me, they're gonna put a little bit more money in here for my culture.
Yeah.
Than I can do, or ever did with a rifle, than I ever did with a tank. Because there's that threat, like, don't come over here. But how do we protect ourselves from within? It's not with guns. You can protect yourself from a home robber, but you can't protect your culture like that. You can't protect the moral values of a nation like that.
Yeah, you could be a fat man and still use those weapons, right?
Yeah, definitely.
There's no fat man down when you're using words. But what I will tell you this, and this is what I challenge to everybody that's involved in these conversations. We've also got to be careful that we don't become the monster that we're trying to kill, the dragon that we're trying to defeat. I left you a message on Twitter. Get back to me about Ghost Rider if you still have it. Okay, I will do that, Carlton. One of the things that people talk about are echo chambers, but my experience is that I hear echo chambers on our side too, and that's one of the reasons why I like Doug and I like Edwin a lot, because they are very thoughtful, and that's the kind of, I'm not like that, but that's how I want to be. I want to
have that person there.
I want to be solid when I say this is going to be boom. This is what I mean. Boom. And I was telling I talked to my mom and I was telling some friends that the first ever art contest I ever got into was in the Bronx. It was the Dr. Martin Luther King I Have a Dream poster contest, and I won it, man. I was like, oh, and everybody's like, what, this Puerto Rican one? Like, yeah, I won it. You know why? Because I'm bad. Anyway, but what happened was that, I in that process, and this is why they do those things especially for artists and students like that, is they, in the process of developing some kind of image, you're learning about this personality, you're learning about the story, and that stuck with me for the rest of my life. And that's what I was trying to say when I say, instead of getting all crazy and getting all just bent out of shape, I think about what Martin said. If you're going to be a tree, be the best tree, and be the best at it, so that when they come at you, they can't hold anything against you. That they're going to do it, and it's going to hurt. But if we're not careful, we're talking. That's why I was talking to this buddy of mine today. He was like, he was trying to warn me about the whole stuff, and I was like, I understand, blah blah blah. But I listened to him. He's a kind guy. He's very kind, and he just doesn't know. But at the same time, from his perspective, he's like, a lot of people, they incite other people to do ugly things. I say, that's not untrue. That can. Just in general, people that are crazy will do stupid things because they're part of any.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the punch Nazi guys? Yeah.
Well, punch Nazis, and then on our side, how many people? Well, that's why we have alt-right people, because they're taking it to the.
Yeah, but that's not our side though. That's like a false equivalence. We never been alt-right. That's why we're fighting Vox Day, because we're not that.
I understand, but sometimes we speak like them. We're loud like them. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important that we should be more measured. I'm just saying, one of my favorite things about the civil rights movement was they walked together arm in arm, they wore suits. They did it on purpose, bro. They wore suits, they wore ties, they walked in peace, and they were more powerful that way, and they changed the world. And that's why I'm afraid if we're not careful and we're only just as loud as they are, that's what they're doing. Now we're just sometimes in a shouting match. So that's why people get in trouble on Twitter, is because they're saying something loud. They're saying something loud. Before you know it, no one's hearing anything. We know for a fact that the people that are against the movement, against Comicsgate, don't care about the facts. So let's just show them. Then let's just show them. Then why are we even having this conversation anymore? By so I just do it.
This is like, look, this is like the Christian in me talking right now. I'm gonna get a little bit into Jesus. Okay, there's a big message in the cross, and that message is, look, don't wait till you're perfect to move forward, because even if you were perfect, you still might get crucified. All right, I left you an example right there. All right, so don't worry about that. All right, just, you know, stay true in your heart and believe it in your heart, and you get better every day. And the apostles, I think it was Paul, would say, I want to be this perfect thing. I want to do these perfect things, but I'm only human.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. The things that I want to do,
people are only human, and like they're like, you get mad but don't sin, right? So as long as we're not the ones that are saying go punch someone, we're not the ones saying it's okay to punch people, initiate aggression, lie about people. I mean, they're gonna lie regardless. They're gonna call us Nazi no matter what. And I'm Puerto Rican. How could I be? That's the farthest thing from what I am. But they did call me a Nazi. Nasser Kwanzaa. That's the guy. Kwanzaa was trying to tell me that I'm not Puerto Rican. Y yo, mira, ¿qué te crees tú que yo no soy boricua? Si yo soy boricua 100%, ¿cómo vas a decir a mí tú que yo no soy boricua? ¿Qué te pasa? ¿Qué te pasa? And I say that, and then he backed down, right? Because they're just gonna accuse you of stuff, and I can't live my life according to what they might accuse me of, because they're gonna do it anyway. They're just gonna do it anyway.
Oh, I'm not saying worrying about things like. Let me read some of this here real quick. Force One says, these are some pretty cool characters. Add a little backstory to each one or the group when or if you put them in a sketchbook. Interesting. Elika Spain says, yeah, I love the wisdom from Doug and Mike. Elika also says, I've been here from the beginning, and it did get hijacked by some zealots. Carlton says, hey, Sketch, I thought I recognized the voice. Carlton 76. So
I've been on a couple of shows.
Sketch, we're definitely not disagreeing with each other. I'm adding to the point that there's an opportunity here to live above the battle, to live above.
I try to tone it down every day. I try to tone it down.
And this is not an indictment, by the way. I'm just saying this is how I'm going to conduct myself, because there was a time when I was so hardcore about my views that I would just go nuts, man. And before you know it, I wasn't really fighting for the cause. I was fighting to be right. So then what happens when you're fighting to be right? You might say something crazy just to win the argument, even if you're not aware of it. And it's very important that we are educated. I cannot stress enough how important education. Look how Elika checked this with calling it a consortium versus. That's important, right? Because then when I want to make sure. I'm big on that. I tell my kids all the time, I want you to speak well, not because I'm trying to get you to. I think you're something other than what you are. But I think one of the things that's helped me in my life as a professional, and I used to teach interns at the job I used to work at. Was one of my roles for a time. And I would tell them, if you really want to move along, if you want to have a voice, if you want to have an impact, everybody has a voice, but if you want an impact, and if you want to make a difference, we've got to learn how to not only speak their language, because do you remember that old Howie Mandel skit where he's like, sometimes people go to other countries and they don't speak the language. So instead of speaking the language they are learning, they just get louder and slower. So he says, so you go to this place, go, excuse me, do you know where the hotel is? And they'll say, I'm sorry, I don't understand. I'll never forget that joke. He's stupid. But the point is that a lot of us are just trying to win these arguments. And in the end, we just sound as crazy, and we're not being effective. That's the main thing. That's why I'm excited about. That's the only reason why I stepped over the line and crossed into this territory we're calling Comicsgate, because normally this is not how these kinds of conversations go. Normally, it's just like what's going on in politics. The Republicans say this, the Democrats say this. The Republicans yell at this, the Democrats yell at this, and no one's really listening to each other. Everyone's posturing, but nothing's changing. And look at what's going on. No one's making that difference.
Like talking over each other because they're not talking at the person, they're talking at the group that might be listening.
That's one thing. But like
Because I think that's where the because okay, I don't come from the right. I don't at all.
Mhm.
I used to be a I was a soldier, yeah, because I believe in like that Trinity I told you, that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that legal Trinity, like your right to your stuff.
right.
But I had this in me, this compassion about being against victimless crimes, right? And that's like that was pretty much lefty, a lefty standpoint, right? The right is always about that incarceration, right? And the left is like, oh, these are victimless crime. Well, you're not victimless crimes, but they were like, oh, we gotta have we gotta look at things different. So I don't like victimless crimes because in my experience, a lot of my friends they got jacked for a victimless crime. They go in the clink, come out a monster,
Mm.
right? And it just destroys lives. It's just expensive, and there's no victim, right? And I remember how the victimless crime thing started, right? Because the Democrats lost the Civil War, and then the Democrats invented eugenics and victimless crimes, and then the Democrats said, "We're going to arrest you if you were in the wrong place in the bus." And then instead of slave labor, they had jail labor. And if you had the wrong kind of recreational thing in your pocket, well, they would put you in the jail if they did that. They'd have all these victimless crime. If you had a pistol to defend yourself, well, then they would put you in jail. And then because of this, there's no victim. No one has been hurt, right? But the Democrats use that to put in jail. Now they're flipping it and they're trying to make you forget that history. That's like, yeah, I am about education. I am
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
about remembering who these people are. These people that said that Puerto Ricans are inferior, right? So we don't get to vote for president, and we don't get no representation in the Congress or the Senate because we inferior, right? Because that majority of Democrats said so. So I'm very much about that education that say, look, it's always these majorities, right? They always got these victimless crimes and these crazy laws because they're the majority. And they always do it for some future benefit. They always do it from some
Yeah.
future this or some future that for the good of everybody. But what they're doing is putting that boot on our neck. And I don't like it. I like our rights, our right to speak freely. And I see you guys doing that, but you're not doing it like ham-fisted.
Right,
you
right.
guys you guys are like there's a story, like there's a moral value in like a person being able to speak freely and defend themselves, which is just so basic that it would seem dumb to have to defend it.
I'm with you, man. I absolutely agree with that. As I said, I've noticed that I hear people just go off and off and on and on, and sometimes the conversation can last 5, 6 hours, and we haven't said anything new. And if you're not careful, it just makes you angry, and then, what's the point? I'm about being productive too. I want to make sure that we're productive as possible.
I don't think I am. I think you guys are. That's why I invest in you guys.
No,
I
that's
pay
fair.
that Patreons. I pay all these things. I my Patreon bill is 250.
Well,
That's all the people I try to back because I believe in their it's spiritual weapons, those images, those words, them stories, like
yeah,
Plato
yeah,
did, dog. Plato pulled us out the cave and say, hey, wake up, you're free.
yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. All right, man. Well, listen, I got to get up and take my kids to school.
Okay, okay.
But guys, I cannot tell you, Sketch, thank you so much for coming on with me, man. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to doing more of this. I don't know if I doubt that Lafayette is still here. If he is, I hope he'll come on with me in the future because he's gonna bring some laughter to my soul. I love that guy. And everybody else has been hanging. I've got 12 people still in the group. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. Some of what we were talking about can be pretty heavy. Sometimes people don't want to talk about this kind of thing. I see
I'm
Force One says,
sorry.
no, 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 no. Listen, listen. That's not what this is about. Let me just read this. Force One says, I forfeit my views. I stay out of political discussions. I'll ask questions to better understand your views, but now I seldom give my point of view anymore. It's not worth the aggravation. Perth says, thanks, Elliot and Sketch. Good chat. Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, Force, I appreciate that. And I hope that what you got out of this was a friendly discussion. And that's how I want to do it. I want us to be friendly about it. I want us to to educate each other. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we got to talk about things in general in life. It doesn't have to be here. It doesn't have to be. We will. Epic Doodles won't always be talk like this, but it's okay if it turns into this, because I think as long as we're doing it in a healthy way, and I especially support that. And I'm not the arbiter. I'm in no way the gatekeeper, right? Of how to talk about anything. I just want to make sure that that we can, because education is important, you know, and sometimes I'm going to say something that somebody doesn't agree with. And to your point, Force One, I want to make sure that I'm open to be taught. I want to be teachable. I think that's how we can be better. At the end of the day, I think that's how we're going to be. That's how we're going to win all these battles. And until, like in the Transformers song says, until all are one, you know, until the Lord comes and we're all, you know, enjoying eternity with him. But right now we're here and we got to make the best of it. And I do appreciate Comicsgate. I know some people don't want to hear me say that, and I can't not say it, because I see the value in it. The way the sky is blue, I see the value in it here. I think as long as what we're about is producing, to your point, Sketch, producing stories, producing images and shadows that reflect bigger things. And if you're supporting that and I'm supporting that, and I'm going to do my part to create stuff like that, to do stuff like that. I have some ideas that I've been sitting on for about 15, 20 years, and I can't wait now, because now for the first time,
it's time.
I'll tell you, for the longest time, I was like, man, how can I get the job with Marvel and DC? And then I was thinking, man, I'm already getting older. By the time I get to the point, I'll be doing all this heavy lifting and working and just to prove myself over there. I'm never going to get that far. Now, for the first time, I'm leapfrogging all of that, because there are people who are willing to support that effort. So that warms my heart to no end, man. I'm super stoked about that.
All right.
Force One says, I still don't know what's going on with Comicsgate. I'll have to Google it too. Don't Google it.
Don't Google it.
Don't Google it.
Look, I'll sum it up for you. Okay, Comicsgate is a consumer rebellion, a consumer revolt against bad quality,
yeah,
and bad customer service, right? You know, among the revolted, there are creators. There's people like us that are, you know, Puerto Ricans. There's all types of different races. There's all, you know, there's girls working, Nerd Wonders working a book. There's all kinds of people that are writing these books. Nasser Rabadi, I think he's like kind of Middle Eastern. There's all kinds of people in here, but these are people that believe in some core things, and you know, and it's about, you know, like quality, people that want quality, people that want, you know, just to be able to have that good quality and that good customer service. They don't want to be talked down to. They want to be treated with respect. And that's what pretty much Comicsgate is about. And as a customer of Comicsgate, I want to tell you to, down here in the description, you're going to see there's a tip jar, right? Now, we pay a lot of money to go into these movies, and sometimes they no good. We pay a lot of, you know, we get into that Netflix, we get into that Hulu, but if you're enjoying my man over here, Elliot, you know, throw a little something in that tip jar, you know, get in on that Patreon, get in on, you know, get on the Instagram and hit up with the likes, and go into that IndieGoGo and get that black and red, because my man here, he's entertained you, he's showing you he's got the skills, and said skills will pay the bills, but you got to recognize that skill so my man can pay the bills, right? So get on that IndieGoGo. There's more things coming. He's going to have his own intellectual property that he's going to have out there, right? And you know, he really needs your support, and he needs your to know you're there. You know, just get that back. You know, just give back what you get back, and it's all good and it's all beautiful, because we're all individuals, and this is not about all the Comicsgate in general. You don't have to agree with everybody. None of us agree completely with anybody, you know, and that's just a human thing, right? But if you like my man Elliot here, you know, back, you know, just there's the tip jar, there's the Patreon, there's Instagram, and there's that IndieGoGo. It's right there in the description. Give my man some love.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. Force, listen, you go ahead and look it up if you like online. I'm just letting you know what you're going to learn from online is that, and this is where you're here. You probably, like you said, you haven't been listening to some of the stuff, but a lot of the description online anymore is because people don't. I'll tell you right now, I'm a Comicsgate, and I am not a racist. I am not a Nazi. I think everybody knows me well enough by now, and that's why I'm lending my voice to this, because I believe that now. If it were true that it were that, why would I be part of that? But that's the propaganda that's going along with it to try to discourage people from, you know, being part of it. I say, listen, educate yourself. Just listen to all the conversation and give some of these guys a listen. Besides myself, maybe you think that I'm brainwashed. Okay, well then listen to some of these other guys and see how brainwashed they are, until finally everyone's talking the same way. You're like, wait a minute, it's not a brainwashing. It's what we've all been talking about all along. Are you mad because Spider-Man his brand is diluted now because they keep trying to just shove characters in our face that don't make any sense? Like, okay, then that's what we're talking about. And this is how we're going to resolve it. When this is what I said when everybody was changing all these characters to other races and other genders and stuff, I said, listen, if you really want a character who's Puerto Rican, if you really want a character who's black, if you really want, I'd rather take that from no, don't take it from the characters that exist. Just make new ones. But maybe, just maybe, you don't really believe in those characters after all. Maybe you don't really believe in those races. Maybe they're just there to make you a quick. Now you're talking about cash grab.
Yeah,
they're just there.
Dressing. They're like window dressing.
Yeah. So I'm like, look, man, and what's happening here with this particular Comicsgate movement, it's to Sketch's point, it's the customer supporting creators who are creating those books. Yeah, man, I got Puerto Rican characters. You know, but I'm not trying to be like, oh, mi Dios, and all that kind of stuff, like where they write it for us. You know, I have characters. I want to infuse strong female characters. I have a daughter. I want her to be encouraged to a degree or another. I want to show her some love. My son is my son, but I have a daughter. I want her to have something to look up to. And if I could create that, but at the same time, I think the most important thing, you can't just put a paint. What do they say? You can put paint on a turd, but it's still a turd.
Polish.
Yeah, you could do all that, but at the end of the day, you know, do it. You got to do it in a way that tells good stories. So what's also happened, it's not just artists; it's also writers who are saying, "Hey, I want to lend my skills to the movement." It's all the stuff we've been saying. Hey, if I could do Dave Sim, right? If I could do it, I would do it like this. Well, guess what? You could do it. And you don't have to be a card. There's no card carrying membership, by the way. It's just an alignment with the movement. You don't have to be. You don't even have to hashtag. I'm getting. I just got my first phone call today. I have yet to do a Comicsgate hashtag. I don't really like doing that in the first place. But I see that's how powerful this conversation is. I haven't even put that. And just by connecting with certain people, people are saying stuff. You know, oh, so be it then. So be it. Listen, man, we're putting our money like Sketch is doing with his literal money. I'm putting my craft.
Time is money.
Yeah, I'm putting my energy and resources where my mouth is. And that's why I actually have an urgency now. Like, man, I can't wait to get my first concept out there and get it in front of the people. And that's another thing that's fun because Force One, because it's a crowdfunding system. I like the way that I love the way that Ethan said it today. We are in some ways you guys, because you are the one supporting, you guys are the one actually investing in the project. You're kind of like on the board. We get to share. I used to think, well, I don't want to share all my ideas with everybody, but now I'm like, you know what? I'm happy to share it with my customers. Why not? Because you guys are the ones that are going to fund it. Yeah. And if you like the idea, why would I waste my time putting all this energy in a pitch packet and then find out that nobody likes it? I'd rather, you know, let's just do something minimal. I'll talk to you guys about it. We'll put it on IndieGoGo. If it goes, it goes. Next thing you know, we've got a brand new voice in the marketplace. Force One says, talking about business. If you were to sell this doodle page, how much? Hit me up, man. Hit me up. I'll talk about it. Guys, again, I appreciate you all. You guys were awesome, man. And I'm glad that we had this conversation. I'm glad that I've been wondering how I'm going to have this conversation because I want to bring a balance to the force, if you will. And I think we had a good time of it today. So I appreciate all of you. And of course, Sketchman, you're my man. I appreciate you, brother. You're a good dude.
Hey, I'm here for you, man.
I know you are, brother. I know you are. The Great Jedi. Look at that's cool. All right. I'm signing off now. Peace out. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Adios.
Adios.